Are we live?
Theoretically, we're live.
Well,
I have to do some video copying and pasting into all the
yep.
applicable parts.
You do that, and I'll talk to myself basically because
there will be 0 people in there.
there'll be 0 people. It's always the awkward start when the people go back and watch this when it's not live on the channel. We're just sitting here mumbling and fumbling around for a good 5 minutes.
Yep.
But anyway, that's just how these things go.
Will Patreon make me log in? Yes, as it does every single time.
Have you posted? Oh, you put it in announcements, did you?
Yeah.
I'll put it in the main thread as well.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case the guys only look in main. There we go. Well, we have a few things to discuss, talk about today, a few things to unbox.
If this makes me send a verification email, I'll be so mad. It did not, though. It didn't. Yes.
Okay, that's good. Because you've only registered that device about 500 times.
Yeah, I know. It's
Once
like,
a month we
you're
register that device.
You're using a new device. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm using the exact same device as last time on the exact same Wi-Fi network. Painful.
A little bit. Alright. Okay, we've got a couple of people in chat. Welcome, people, to the chat. The live stream's not playing for me, though. What is going on? Oh, there we go. I just had to hit play. Alright, have you done everything you've got to do?
I've just realised I was making a text post, not a video post on Patreon. They're two different things.
Lexi said, nice shirt. Yeah, we're not doing the shirts today for some reason. We were lazy, so...
Yeah, too busy
we're wearing
discussing other stuff.
Yeah, we were in a hurry to get the stream started, so we're in what we were wearing. ZZR Hardy said, welcome, person. Good job. Alright, Tim will be done in a minute. We can get started. He's typing furiously.
I really should get this stuff sorted beforehand, but I can't be bothered, so...
Yeah, we're well organised, as usual, for our patron members.
And there we go. I think that's done.
Alright.
Should be good to go.
Should be good to get this show on the road.
Yes. What are we going to talk about?
Oh, we can talk about anything. I got a delivery in the mail today. It's quite funny. This is, I don't know how well that comes up on camera.
Pretty well.
Pretty well?
Yeah.
So I got that in the mail. That's exactly how it was sent in the mail. So this is from Gigabytes, the new RTX 2080 Ti. So I'm going to do a few different things with this card. Things like testing out how memory dependent these cards are. We did that with the GTX 1080. So I'm going to underclock the memory, overclock the memory, and see how much difference that makes with the cores at the standard or the standard factory overclock. So a few things with that card, but yeah, it's quite funny that that's how they send it. The first one I got through FedEx. I think this one was with Australia Post, as you can see. And the first one I got, which was their 2080 card, so that was still under NDA. So no one, obviously people knew about them, but no one had got one yet. And like, it's impressive that that made it through Australia Post to me when everyone knew what it was.
It's like, when you send something through a courier, you're probably going to get it no matter what the condition of it is in. But Australia Post is just like...
Yeah.
Who knows?
So I just thought it was quite funny how it's under NDA and everyone's talking about them. So it would have been quite funny if a computer nerd was at Australia Post and he saw that come through. Would have been very tempting for that not to make it.
And the bubble wrap is like, geez, that's not going to do anything.
I know, right? But might take that and have a look at it a bit later. But you guys have probably seen enough RTX graphics cards for a lifetime at this point.
Well, I've got another pile of stuff down here.
Yep.
That we're going to take a look at as well. A whole bunch. I don't even know what's in some of these parcels, but it'll be sort of unboxing boxes at my place for once.
Chris said, happy birthday, you old bastard. Thanks.
How old are you now? Can I ask you?
35.
35. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting on there.
Yeah, so we've covered that. Moving on.
Well, you'll be happy. We're going to go have Nando's twice today, aren't we?
Tim said because it's my birthday, I get to choose. So I've locked in Nando's twice. So I've got the lunch and dinner Nando's. So pretty happy with that one. Geez, casual a lot. I knew everyone would comment on us not wearing shirts.
See, the thing is, like...
For the live stream tonight, we'll wear shirts, we promise.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't wear a shirt except for the 10 minutes I'm on camera. Like, that's it during the day. I always wear this sort of stuff.
Yeah, same. But if I go out, I usually wear shirts.
I just
Yeah, you're a bum though. You're a young bloody
chill with the hoodies or sort of
if it's anyway.
Breakfast Nando's. Yeah, do they have any breakfast options? Or is it just you got to still
I can never make it to a Nando's in time for breakfast. So, if you guys, as usual, have any questions or things you want us to talk about, any topics, drop them in here and we will talk about them. The last few weeks for me has been a blur. I don't really know what's...
Been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Pretty busy.
Pretty insane. But anyway, I'm sort of glad that we're getting near the end of the RTX stuff. Because it's... Well, I'm kind of over it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit... Because the cards themselves aren't that amazing, it's kind of like... Everyone's a bit over it at this point,
you can't...
I think.
There's no follow-up content there's nothing really to look at. I know Tim's got a really awesome video going up tomorrow on the channel, an investigation into DLSS, which has some very interesting findings. But beyond that, I don't think you can do much more beyond that with it.
It's like, obviously we want to test ray tracing, but we can't.
Yeah.
So there's that, and
I'm expecting that to be a bust.
I mean, if the 2080 was actually a good product, then it might have been more interesting because people would actually be interested in buying it. But it's just like, well, just buy a 1080 Ti. Like, we've got a few more partner cards and stuff coming. It's like, well, what are we supposed to do with those when no one actually wants them?
The 2080, we were just discussing this before we got started on the stream, which is one of the reasons why we were late. Tim and I both kind of agreed that the 2080 might be the worst high-end graphics card we've seen in a long time. I know that sounds crazy because performance-wise it is decent. I mean, it's 1080 Ti level performance, but there's no reason to buy one. I don't think ray tracing will be a justifiable reason. I think ray tracing will be a bust.
Well, did you see Gamers Nexus's video, which I already knew a lot of the stuff he was talking about in his video, but he does a really good explanation of... he goes through the demos of ray tracing and talks about how, like, the effects don't look that different from what can be cheated in normal rasterization.
That's right. I think it became,
shading,
especially the Tomb Raider demo, I think it became pretty obvious pretty early on that they were doing the classic NVIDIA marketing thing where with RTX off, it turned off a lot more than it would normally. Like the game could look pretty much the same.
Yeah.
That's obviously what the conclusion they've come to as well. So... yeah, you've had to dumb down the games to make them look more bland and less technical than they are to make RTX look amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, ray tracing is a more accurate way of getting things like shadows and reflections and all that sort of thing. But the issue is, like, you can cheat all that stuff using screen space reflections or cube maps for reflections or just really standard shadowing techniques. And they don't, like... unless you're really looking and sort of trying to spot the details, like if you're running past a building and you're seeing a cube map reflection and it's like the same reflection in every window, you're probably not going to notice until someone points it out. Yeah. It's like ray tracing will give you a more accurate reflection, but are you really going to notice?
It's like 10 years into the future, you couldn't imagine gaming without it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it'll be so heavily leveraged and it'll be so powerful, it'll be able to do so much. But right now, I called it pretty early on that it was a gimmick for this generation, and that hasn't been proven to be true yet, but it looks more and more like it will be. DLSS, I mean, spoiler alert, but that's planned. That's turned out to be...
not great.
Not great. Jardeath said, so Jared of Jared's Tech said, somewhere in here I saw it back a bit, we've got the RTX 2070 next month, which is true. We do
October 17, if you didn't see the news.
Yep. So mid-month it'll be. Well, you're about to get.
We don't know when we can post reviews or anything. We don't even have them. So.
Yeah, I haven't even analyzed this one too much. But what is it? $600 US?
Yeah, it's pretty expensive still. It's more than a 1080.
It's about it's the same as the 2080 and 1080 Ti. So it's like $100 more, and we're expecting like, on average, the same kind of performance, a smidgen better maybe.
Yeah.
And ray tracing is definitely going to be a bust on the 2070. So the 2070 is just going to be another pointless product. Basically, the GeForce 20 series has been the 2080 Ti, which also doesn't make sense in terms of price versus performance. But if you've got loads of money and you want the ultimate 4K experience, then it makes sense to buy, and it is a jaw-dropping graphics card in terms of performance. But short of that, the rest of the lineup doesn't make sense. For the Q&A we're doing later today, we've got quite a few people asking about the RTX 2060 or the GTX 2060, as I believe it will be. it's going to be strange what they're going to do there, because they have to compete with like the RTX 580, and if AMD does a 12 nanometer refresh, which is possible.
My guess, pure guess, will be about 10% more, 5 to 10% more performance than the 1060 for 5 to 10% more cost. That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean,
so sort of giving you a different product, so not giving you a 1070, not quite, but not making it that good, because they're really stuck. Because when they're saying the 2070 for $600 founders, I think, and 500 MSRP.
yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the US dollars, by the way. People always complain about us not using Australian, but US dollars. When you then go down a step to the 1060, which sells for what, like 250?
Not sure what it's at the moment, but it's 250 MSRP for the 6 gig model.
So let's just say 300 without checking.
Yep.
That's like $200. Like, it's a big reduction in price. I could very easily see them selling something like the 2060 for $350, $350 US, and then having it be like 5% faster.
Yep.
No ray tracing or anything. It's just slightly faster, slightly more expensive.
Yeah, it's another like whatever.
Who knows how much more 1060 stock they have as well. Like, they might still want to push out the remaining Pascal inventory, which might be massive.
One thing you can be sure of, it's going to be very, very underwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's going to have very likely going to have a short lifespan, whether it's that NVIDIA phases it out sometime next year, or AMD comes out with their 7 nanometer consumer grade GPUs,
which, I mean,
which they're definitely going to do next year.
Yeah, and that might force price cuts, which would be great.
I was thinking about this the other day, because basically NVIDIA's gone, well, this is how much AMD are selling their high-end Vega cards for, or the GPUs for, and that's the sort of cost per frame. So let's just come in at that with the next generation. And that's pretty much what they've done. Yeah,
and I think it's, when we were talking about the 2080 being the worst graphics card launch we can think of in a while, like, you sort of look at a product like Vega 64, which is pretty underwhelming in terms of its price to performance and availability and everything. But there's just something that makes it extra bad when a company doesn't even compete with its own products. So, like, Vega was the fastest graphics card AMD had made at that point, fastest single card. So it's kind of like, yeah, okay, it's bad value, but at least it's the fastest thing they've got. Whereas the 2080 is just, it's the same performance as a 1080 Ti, but worse value. It's like they've competed with them, they've shot themselves in the foot, which makes it so terrible.
Yeah, it's, I mean, no one, well, I shouldn't say no one, most of us weren't particularly fond of Vega 64, but I agree, this is worse. So it's not like my Vega 64 review was glowing by any means. But yeah, will AMD just come in and massively undercut NVIDIA? That's sort of my concern. If NVIDIA's set this price tag, because everyone sort of expected AMD to do that with the 32 core processor, just come in at like $1,000 or maybe $1,500. When you said at $1,500, that would be awesome, but they didn't. They came in pretty like a couple of hundred. What is it? Is it how much is it? It's the same price, isn't it, as the 18 core?
Yeah.
Or it's like $50 lower, the MSRP.
Yeah.
So they basically came in the price that NVIDIA had set, Intel had set, sorry. So they didn't just smash that out of the water.
Yeah, and I mean, Ryzen as well was obviously very price competitive, but it wasn't, you know...
It had to be. It still has to be, but once they hit...
Yeah, but it wasn't like half the price.
No, well...
It was still...
They have to make money.
Yeah.
But...
Because we are at the point where, for example, if AMD makes a product that's even 1080 Ti performance, or 2080 Ti, let's just say, which is $1,200, right? Like, they can't come in and make that at half the price.
I don't see why they would.
Because it's a bad business decision now. So
I'd love them, first of all, to be able to do that in terms of performance, and I would love to see what they actually price it at. Because I would not be surprised at all if they just go, okay, well, NVIDIA's charging this and people are buying them, we'll just do the same.
Yeah, I mean...
They'll undercut them by maybe $100.
Yeah, because the last time I can think AMD did a massive price undercut was with the R9 200 series. So like R9 290.
Yep.
Those were really competitive cards.
Yep.
But the issue was that they launched at a price, and then mining was starting to pick up at that time. And then the cards were never seen at that price because they were so competitive that retailers were just like, well, we can get away selling this for, 100 to 200 over MSRP, and it's still really competitive. So even if AMD comes out with a 2080 Ti performance for, say, $800, who's to say retailers aren't just going to charge you $1,000?
Yeah, well, we don't have the demand that we did have this time last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if mining's going to make a comeback or not.
I mean, with having AMD back being competitive at the high end will hopefully, bring the next generations will start to get more and more affordable, because you'll have that duopoly of people trying to compete with each other with each generation. Release the next product, it's a bit faster, it's a bit cheaper than what.
That's right. If they stay competitive, the pricing will eventually come back our way, because AMD will want to see better sales, so they'll lower the MSRP, or it'll go on sale for a limited time only where it's much cheaper, and then Nvidia will axe prices to match that because they want to keep strong sales. And then you get into what we call the GPU wars, and it's all good.
Nice. But yeah, when you have this situation where a company is setting their own price for a few years, it's not going to be suddenly back to the way it was anymore, because the market's been shifted entirely by Nvidia being able to sell cards at whatever price they like. If AMD had continued to be competitive, the 2080 Ti would very realistically have been like $400 cheaper, and they would have had a completely different strategy.
Yep.
But yeah, it's kind of been shifted. And that's why I think a similar thing will happen with the memory market. Like you say, the prices will go down. I think they'll flatten out, and then they'll release the next generation of memory, which will be more expensive.
Well, I'm just going off historical data, and it's like DRAM pricing is just always like that. And we were at like a high of high peaks.
There's rumors that one of those
it's come down massively though.
Yeah, it has. It's improved.
Samsung apparently slowed the development, I think, of new facilities.
Yeah.
To keep memory pricing where it's at, because they obviously don't want it to fall through the floor. And it's going to change compared to what we saw in the past, because there'll be less competition, which has happened in every industry. I mean, back in the day, there used to be how many motherboard manufacturers or makers rather, and even chipset makers. There was SIS, SIS. I think it was. Can't remember. It was so long ago. I don't even know how you pronounce it. And then there was VIA. I think it was VIA.
They're still around. They do more embedded stuff now.
Yeah, they're kind of still around. They were big back in the day, like the KT400, I think, was one of their last big chipsets. But Intel kind of killed them off, and then AMD just followed suit on that one. But anyway, that's the GPU stuff. So
yeah, not much more to say.
Pretty much what we kind of nailed it, apart from the performance claims in the announcement video. Exactly what I thought. It's just a stopgap to 7 nanometer or whatever, if they go with Samsung 8 nanometer, but the same sort of thing. And we'll see a really good leap next year in terms of performance and efficiency, and hopefully price.
Hopefully. Well, I think the thing is with all these things, you can look at the sort of specs of what 7 nanometer provide, and it looks really good, but then you always have to take off that little bit of exaggeration that all these, manufacturers come up with.
As Jared says, the second-hand market looks pretty good at the moment, and I agree.
Yeah, it's really good.
I mean, let's be realistic, and I think we should try and do a video on this. And it really ties in with what you did with Tomb Raider, with tuning the graphic settings to get sort of the same visual quality, but a nice boost in performance. Because you do that at 1440p, and you don't need an RTX 2080 or a GTX 1080 Ti. Like, it'll run nicely on like a 1070.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I want to do those graphic settings guides for more games. Is because like
it'd be interesting.
It changes the position of cards to sort of say, well, you need a 2080 Ti to play at 4K ultra settings, because that's like always the standard. It's always ultra settings. What can you play at ultra settings? But realistically, you can, as you saw in Tomb Raider, you can get 30% more performance with very, very similar visual quality by changing a whole bunch of stuff, and then suddenly a 1080 Ti is all you need.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the ultra settings are just there to sell high-end GPUs all the time.
I mean, that's the thing.
But because we plan on, for the most part, like Forza Horizon 4, I'm hopefully going to start on that tomorrow morning, or whenever it's available, and start
tomorrow evening.
As soon as it's available, I'm going to start benchmarking with that. That's the plan. I've got a few other things I've got to try and do as well.
There's a lot of content for everyone to do.
But when a new game comes out, I want to get on it straight away, start benchmarking to get at those 20, 30, 40 GPU comparisons. And then the next day or shortly after, Tim will do his optimization guide. And then I'm thinking with what we're talking about now. It'd be kind of cool if I went back and did a third video where I tested range of GPUs at 1440p, 4K or whatever with your settings to see, you know,
what becomes playable.
yeah,
What GPUs
like,
you
can
need.
you get away with a 1070 at 1440p and push well over 60 FPS, whereas before it was maybe a 1080 Ti. But in any case, the second-hand market's good. I also want to do, I did that massive used guide.
Yeah.
I want to redo that.
Yeah,
again.
I want to update as well. I've done those videos on pricing sort of thing as well. Obviously, that would be for the new market as opposed to the used market, but I want to give that an update as well now that we've got the new cards in. So, yeah, I mean, there's lots of content. I've got about 5 monitors to test. When you came into my house,
I was like, holy crap! Tim's got a monitor for it.
Yeah, so I got the 43-inch Philips, the 32-inch 144 or 165 hertz HDR one, the new AOC cheap one. It's a 27-inch 1080p. It's pretty cheap, looks quite good, and then a professional 4K HDR one. So that might only be 4. A few more coming in the post though.
You've got plenty anyway.
Got plenty. Want to do those about one a week. But then obviously the game testing as well. There's a lot of stuff, and then we've got Z390, 9900K, GTX 1070, 2070 I should say, RTX 2070.
Yep, plenty to do.
Got
and
some builds coming up. Got to improve. Got to get my new test system.
yeah, well, I'll be doing a 9th gen test system build as well.
I've got one for me as well.
Corsair have their new Hydro X gear as well that they're going to be getting out to us for a custom liquid cooling build.
That'll be on you because you can have fun with that one.
Yeah, so I'll be doing that. There was a question up a little bit about, are we going to follow driver development and see if they start to GIMP Pascal? We'll keep an eye on that. I don't expect them to.
Well, one of the things that I've got planned, or that I want to test, is do the game day drivers actually do anything?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, so I want to go and test a whole bunch of games with the driver just before the game day driver comes out to see whether... Because I'm convinced that in a lot of situations, they just put game day on the driver, and it's exactly the same code as it was before.
The way... Because I obviously do a lot of this day one testing, the way it goes is if the game has been sponsored by AMD, normally the GeForce Ready game driver will give you a noticeable performance boost, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
So if NVIDIA's had a huge hand in developing the game, usually those optimizations come out a few drivers beforehand.
Yeah.
So you don't get that huge boost. Whereas AMD, the game will come out and it'll run like crap on AMD hardware. And sometimes it's so bad we actually hold off. So we test all the NVIDIA cards and we have to wait a few days or a week. And then AMD release their new driver. It solves some of the problems there, and then we test. So they do make a difference.
It'd be interesting to see how far back you'd have to go before they implement those changes. Like, it'd be interesting testing a modern game with like a year-old driver and then getting the monthly releases and then seeing, when was that exact point they actually... Just obviously, it's not very useful information. It'd just be interesting to know.
It's almost impossible to do what you're suggesting. I've thought about it because sometimes, and actually a lot of the time, it is game updates that tie in with it.
Yeah.
So AMD will release a driver that coincides with the game update, and you're like, holy crap, that made a big difference. But then you try the old driver, and you're like, oh, it wasn't that much slower, but it was definitely a lot worse than that. So that's why it is very difficult to track that kind of stuff. And which is another reason why I've just got to the point where I don't even bother trying to carry over old data anymore. Because it's useless. And Wreckfest is a perfect example. Like, the Wreckfest performance has been all over the place for NVIDIA. AMD were miles out in front with that one when it was first launched, and they were for quite a while after. And yeah, they made sure they got that one worked out for the RTX release.
Yep. Yeah, and as someone's pointed out, there is a game-ready driver for Forza Horizon 4 already.
Yes, so
the latest one is.
Yeah, often they'll either quietly or make a big deal about those kind of updates before the game even comes out. So the game comes out and you're ready to go, which is how it should be, really, because about 2 years ago now, I reckon there was about a dozen big titles in a row that came out and just ran like crap on both AMD and NVIDIA.
Yeah.
And then it was, days or weeks later that they got
and it was before, like, Crimson Edition or whatever AMD did, that they used to be, like, well behind. Like, you'd have to almost wait, like, a month for optimized drivers.
Yeah, AMD worked out what was going on there, I think, a bit. They're a bit more on top of it now with the developers. Because they were just sleeping on it, and I think they just thought it would work differently than it did. it definitely didn't. Will you? Yes, okay, what's the Intel 3rd Gen? Okay, so this is just a revisiting of the different generations of Intel processors. Yeah, I'll probably do that. When I get some time, I want to compare the 8700K and the 2700X at 1440p, maybe some 1080p testing, and possibly some 4K as well. Do some scaling, probably, with various quality settings. That'd be a lot of work, but I want to do that to compare those CPUs, because if Intel does pull away a bit, then it kind of validates the 720p testing to some degree, and if not, then yeah. And there's some new games.
I have both those CPUs, so if you're too busy,
well, feel free. If you've got nothing on your plate, I'll...
If we have nothing on the plate, yeah, when's that going to happen?
I definitely want to do it. I want to test at least a dozen games at least 2 resolutions with possibly the highest and second highest quality presets, and just see if the margin extends in Intel's favor or remains much the same. I'll probably do that with both of them overclocked. I don't think I'll bother with stock out of the box stuff on the 2700X and 8700K. And then, if we have time, I'll look at older generations and compare them. That's definitely something I'll do when we get the 7nm GPUs. Definitely something I'll do. But, I mean, there's tons of stuff I want to do. It's just finding time to do it.
You see the list of ideas that we both have. It's just like...
Well, I'd love to compare, like, DX11 versus DX12 performance in tiles that work well, like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and compare Pascal and Turing there. I don't know if many people have done that yet. That's something I'd like to do. So yeah, there's
the long
as
list.
Tim says, there's just a list of dozens and dozens and dozens of ideas. But yeah, the CPU testing is something I'll start soon. Obviously, I'll be doing CPU testing anyway because I have the 9900K, 9700K, and that is mid. So I think we've got something like the RTX 2070 is the 17th, and then I think it's like the 19th or 20th we've got the Core i9 9900K. Or just the 9th gen processors.
Different day to the Z390.
The Z390 is on the 8th. So is that next week? I don't even know.
Is it the 8th or the 6th? We'll have to check. It's one of those.
I think it's it's either next week or the week after. So there's plenty of stuff coming up on the channel. Someone asked for a Q&A, which I will answer in the Q&A, but I'll give you guys a quick spoiler here. I don't know if it's well known yet or not, but I can tell you firsthand. The Core i9 9900K works perfectly fine on all other chipsets, so you don't need a Z390 board to support it. I think that's probably known at this point, but if not, I updated my Z370 board this morning. It boots up into Windows fine and works perfectly fine. It'll be interesting to see what the throttling is like on the lower end Z370 boards, and that's something I will explore, but I haven't done any of that testing yet. I just merely wanted to see if it works, and it does. So that's kind of nice. I expected it would, and I don't know if it's been confirmed anywhere yet.
Well, it'd be funny if it was a bug and then they had to actually patch it out.
It. Yeah. No, I don't think that'll be the case at all. What I'm just catching up on some questions here.
I might take a look at some of these boxes that I've got here. Put my box unboxing tool.
Find that.
Gotta go find the box unboxing tool.
But yeah, so I've got plenty of testing to do. I don't know what order I'm going to do everything. I'll have a quick look at the schedule to give you guys an update while Tim's looking for something to open a box with. That could take quite a long time. Oh, he's found it. He's got his box cutter. So yeah, tomorrow Tim has his DLSS early investigation. Then we've got Q&A part 1 and 2 over the weekend. Then hopefully I will have not slept over the weekend and had no weekend at all, barely seen my kids. And if that's the case, it means you'll get Forza Horizon 4 benchmark on Monday. Then Tim has an AOC monitor review. Looks like a 27-inch monitor, the C27G1.
Yeah, it's brand new. It was released like a couple of weeks ago. So
brand new. Why have I got no scroll bar here for the... I've got no mouse wheel. I can't.
You also need to activate Windows.
I'm not going to bother doing that. I only use this laptop when I come here. Okay. Then after that, we've got my RTX 2080 Ti memory bandwidth investigation. Then Tim's doing his Forza Horizon 4 graphics setting guide, which will be really cool. I may do some further benchmarking after that. Then we'll have News Corner, because we're missing News Corner this week, so you're going to have to wait till next week.
Yep. 3 weeks off from News Corner, but
It
more
happens.
the DLSS thing has been much more interesting than
Yep.
anything I'd cover.
Then I'm going to revisit the Athlon 200 GE, do some discrete GPU testing. Then I don't know what we're doing. Then it's the Intel Z390 boards. And then there's also Assassin's Creed Odyssey launch in between all that. So
We'll get onto that as well.
there's way too much stuff for us to do. Even though we do a video a day,
Yeah, it's crazy.
we don't have time.
So what have I got here? I've got some stuff from Corsair. So I've got a Force LE 200 240 gig drive and a 8 gig of 3000 megahertz Vengeance memory. Pretty basic stuff. The reason for this, I'm going to do a really, what would I call it? A dumb video? I don't know if it's dumb or...
All your videos are dumb.
Yeah,
Oh,
all of them are
burn.
dumb. Yeah. So a dumb video. I'm going to build a really cheap system and then put a 2080 Ti in it.
Oh, you're going to do this, are you?
Yeah, I am
Okay.
going to do it. I asked
Okay.
Corsair for some stuff.
What CPU are you using?
Probably a 2600, but maybe I'll go lower.
Oh, that's not a chip. Yeah, no, you got to go lower.
Give me the Athlon. We'll
Yeah,
chuck that in there.
Well, that'd be too stupid because that would just bottleneck like crazy.
Yeah. Well, there is some point to it though, and that's because you look at non-enthusiast builders, and plenty of people do this. They build everything else on the cheap and put in a super expensive graphics card. So they like sort of unbalance the build.
You know, the problem with this content is you're going to have to use like a quad-core Intel CPU and a quad-core AMD CPU. Because if you use only an AMD CPU, all the AMD fanboys are going to rage and say that you're trying to make their CPUs look bad. And then if you only use an Intel CPU, you'll be called an AMD fanboy for
possible.
making... So it's just a lose-lose situation, that one. Or you could go stuff it and just do whatever you want,
Yeah, pretty much I will just do that.
which is what we normally do.
So yeah, thought it'd be fun to build this really unbalanced system and give it a shot.
So is it, how much? 8 gig?
8
yeah.
gig,
Yep,
8
yep,
gig.
yep.
Got the Corsair's budget SSD here. Also budget case, budget power supply. Yeah, I think I've got a B450 motherboard down here. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, so yeah. Okay. Well, so yeah, you might as well just go. I mean, the 2600, I wouldn't use that CPU.
I think it's the X.
2600X. That's 2600X is perfectly fine. You'd have to go with like an APU or like a Ryzen 3 1200 or something. Yeah, the 2600X is a bit rough because that's still a decent CPU, and that'll get the most out of this at 4K.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's kind of the point.
well,
To see how much you can, not really necessarily how much, but sort of what it's like to not build, because whenever we do 2080 Ti builds, it's always like we're going to be using 8700K, we're going to be using all our high-end gear, we're going to be using tons of memory, all that stuff. But people don't build systems like that. Plenty of people go out there and they get,
yeah.
they skimp on other areas and sort of put all of it into the GPU and then the CPU second.
Yeah, well,
and
I
that's
mean,
sort of what I wanted to build.
Yeah, for the most part, you are GPU bound, so it kind of makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
You'd have to go with something that doesn't have enough cores, so it introduces stuttering.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a quad core.
But I sort of wanted to
I would just
compare-
just do down core. So you could do core scaling on the 2600.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that. It was more just like, how different is it to build a reasonable budget system? How does that actually compare in the games that we test compared to our test system, which is all high-end stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a fun video. Definitely do it. I'm going to do a similar video.
Yeah,
Sal
we should-
Kagan just mentioned it. I thought about this a while ago. Is get the 1080 Ti plus the best CPU you can afford with the remaining money. Possibly even a motherboard, I don't know, whole system, and then compare it to one of these. Like, so you could buy this,
Yeah, or the whole system.
or basically a high-end system, or at least a good the platform anyway. I haven't exactly worked it all out. I know, yeah, Sal did post a link, so thank you for that. I think it was PC Parts Picker. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'll probably use that as a guide. So you've saved me a bit of time there, so thank you.
Yep.
This looks pretty much identical to the 2080 model that I've already reviewed. It looks like it's the exact same cooler. It's got 2 8-pins, so that's about the only physical change. The I/O looks to be the same. The cooler is pretty much the same. So, yeah, I'll probably do a quick review on this. Nothing too in-depth because we've already covered the 2080 version. But I want to use this for a few other tests, like I said, memory, bandwidth stuff, and
Yep.
whatever else. So, yeah, that'll happen.
What have I got here? something else from MSI.
Is that? Oh, yeah, that's all right. I was going to say, I've got a few Z390 boards that are under NDA, so I wasn't sure if they sent you one or not.
Well, if they sent me one, then this will be embarrassing and I won't be able to show it. So I might just take a quick peek in the box. I can't see why they would have sent me one because they didn't ask for one, but you never know.
Sorry, I'm just catching up on the comments here. You can tell Sal Kagan's in here because I've just got paragraphs to read now.
Yeah, just the one board, just the one I requested.
I literally skimped on nothing. Cool, I will go over that later on, but it'll be tomorrow because I don't get home today till about 11 PM.
I asked MSI for the cheapest B450 board they would give me.
Okay, that's a
B450
that's a good board, that one. So
well,
decent anyway for a.
Decent enough. Asked for MSI because obviously we have the.
Is that a delivery?
Let me just go see if someone's knocking on my door.
Someone's bashing on his garage door. Yeah, so.
Some more stuff.
Well, I'll have a look at this board actually. This isn't. If you guys have anything you actually want us to talk about, feel free to let us know, and we will go over that. But I'll have a look at this board anyway because I haven't seen this particular board yet. So it looks like it's a 4+2 phase VRM. Not 100% sure on that, but I'm fairly certain that is the case. Same heatsink. Oh, we've got another box.
I'm just going to have to get rid of my address from here and then we can show it.
Yep. So anyway, a decent little board. It's probably $100-ish. Not too sure on that one. But Tim's got another big box. Oh, wow, that's a big box for what?
It's massive.
Have they sent two or just the one?
If they sent two, I'd be very happy.
Yeah. Anyway, we have another cool box coming up. Yeah, we are going to Nando's after this. So we're going. Well, actually, while Tim's messing around, I might as well tell you what our plans are for the day.
God, my address is on here so many times.
Once we finish this live stream, which will go for as long as it goes for, we've already been going for about 40 minutes now, I think. We're going to pause, go get some Nando's, so I'll be in a very happy mood when we come back. And then we've got to build Tim a new desk, so we thought we might do a bonus live stream, so that'll be a third one for the day. It'll be the second one, but we will do 3 in total. And I'm not sure exactly how we'll do it, but we're going to build Tim a new desk, and we will live stream that. So it's just going to be a boring live stream where we're building a desk. If you want to see us build a desk and chat to you guys while we do it, tune in. We'll put the link in the Discord. So yeah, Tim's getting a new desk. We'll live stream that. Then we're going to, once the new desk is built, we're going to film the Q&A session for the weekend. Then we'll have Nando's for dinner. And then we'll come back and we'll do the third live stream of the day.
So
do you want me to make some, you're knocking my laptop off here?
This is an absolutely outrageous box for what should be in here. So we'll soon find out what exactly they have sent over. This is from...
This is like a live unboxing boxes. Just watch your laptop and everything without the stream going down because you've knocked the laptop off. Wow, that's a lot of padding.
Yeah, and as I expected, there is literally only this in there. There we go, just this. How ridiculous is that? So this is the PNY
so I'll be taking
RTX 2080 XLR8.
Do you want me to get it out and have a look at it?
Yeah, go ahead. I've got some more boxes to unbox. This will hopefully give us all the RTX cards that we need for future benchmarking. Got a few 2080s, few 2080 Ti's. And that allows us to do all sorts of stuff.
And that's the main reason why we're looking at these cards, because there's no point reviewing them down the track because people are really going to be uninterested then if they're not already. But the companies are offering to send them to us. They're really expensive. We need them for testing, and rather than spend our Patreon money on cards we can get for testing, we create some more content. We can pull them apart, show you guys what they look like, which you might not see elsewhere, and we can do some reasonably in-depth thermal testing and stuff like that.
Yep.
But you're not expecting anything radically different to what we've already seen with this card. But it may be... It's got a really nice glossy back PCB, no back plate, so already a few points deducted there. But yeah, pretty.
I don't know how much it costs. I've got no idea. But
No idea. Looks reasonable.
yeah, it's probably more the budget end of the.
Well, it's actually a dual slot card. So,
Yeah.
Proper dual slot card.
Yep, simple 2-fan design.
Yep, the cooler overhangs the PCB ever so slightly. It looks like we've got 4 heat pipes that run the whole length of the card. Copper base. It's got looks like a copper base plate going over all the memory.
Red highlights on the fan though.
Red highlights on the fan, so a few points deducted there. Yeah, it's pretty basic. This is RGB up the top here. This little light strip and the GeForce.
It's all pretty standard.
At least it says GeForce RTX there, which is what I didn't like about the Gigabyte card, because you don't really want to see Gigabyte written on it.
Yeah, you don't.
If you're going to waste money on a GeForce RTX card, you at least want it to be loud and proud. But anyway, decent looking card, and I'll test that out. I've got that one to do.
So what else? Got another box here from Corsair. Don't know what's in this one. Getting a lot of shipments from Corsair. Got some more coming as well.
Nick said, you got any more room for questions in the Q&A? Drop it in the question section on the Discord chat and we should be able to add it in. Yep. We've already got about 26, 27 questions to go over. Still adding the compile testing to the API test suite. Yes, I will do that. I haven't, as you can probably imagine, haven't got a chance to really look into that too much, but I would like to do it for the Core i9 9900K review. So yeah, that will be a priority for me over the next week to get onto that.
So this is for our second, well, it's basically for you. This is our second 4K 60 capture card. I started using this for the Shadow of the Tomb Raider video that you would have seen, but I'm planning to do a full upgrade of my editing rig. So I've already got one in there, but for the sake of the video, I'll be putting one in because I didn't have one when I last built the video.
Well, Tim wants to build a 2950X editing rig.
2950X, 2080 Ti, and just a few other upgrades. I think, I need like a closed liquid cooler as well, just to make the system a bit quieter. An upgrade from the 1700X to Threadripper will be much better for video editing. And this will be one of the key components as well. Obviously, I already have one, but this one...
well, I got one of these because obviously very handy for what we do. And Tim has sort of had a reason to use it more than I have. So he begged me for it for the RTX coverage. So I'm like, all right, if you're going to do some work with it. It took me... Mind you, I think Nick was actually asking me about it in the Discord chat. It took me about 2 months to actually install it. And then once I did, I just used it heaps because they're so good. Yeah,
it's good. The software is really nice too. It's really easy to use and it just works.
It just works,
I found with the capture card we're using for this and what I've used previously, the AVerMedia ones. And yeah, the Elgato capture software is just like so much better. Obviously it works fine in OBS either way, but just the stock standard software. I think AVerMedia does have an HDR version of that's cheaper.
They do, I've seen that. It does higher frame rates. I think it does 1440p at like 120 FPS maybe.
Yeah, but obviously we do 4K 60 because we master in 4K 60, so
that's right. So
it doesn't really matter for us. And now that Elgato is part of Corsair, we can get them from Corsair.
Get them much easier. Yeah, I was a bit of a struggle to get mine. I think I got it through one of their marketing companies. I don't really recall. I featured on Unboxing Boxes ages ago. But anyway, that's that. So now we've got one each. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, and this is a box of production gear stuff.
Oh, you bought some bits, did you?
I bought some bits.
It's very heavy. It's flexing your desk very nicely.
I bought some bits. So we'll see what's in here for the people who like our behind the scenes coverage of stuff.
Looks like there's a light of some description.
I think you might be right because I'm pretty sure that's what I bought.
I can tell because it's the what's the brand? It starts with Y.
Yongnuo?
Yeah, I can't remember.
So yeah, this is filled with all sorts of stuff.
What have we got here? We've got some power packs, so that's pretty exciting. Some LED power packs. So you've got some LED lights, it seems like.
There's some batteries. I've got a lot of these. So the Sony battery adapters.
Okay.
I've already got the big ones and I've got the small ones. So I bought these in a deal that also comes with the medium-sized ones. Oh,
so these are smaller versions of the ones we're using the lights.
So we have two big LED ones here. those are compatible with these massive, really heavy ones. But I also use on the camera like an LCD screen.
Oh, that's
to make it
right.
better. And that requires a battery, and the smaller one is a bit too small. So I thought, well, may as well. It comes with a deal. It was like $20 extra to get a bunch of batteries and chargers and stuff. Anyway.
Sal said, I'm kind of surprised you opted to work on your birthday, by the way. Or to be honest. I don't know. We work every day. It's just another day. It's actually really nice weather here in Victoria today.
It's awesome.
So I would have liked to have spent some time at home with the kids, but they've got things on anyway, so whatever.
So these are the Yongnuo YN600 RGBs.
So did you get that because I've got one of those?
Yeah, well, I've used... So I've got these. These are the Yongnuo 360 something, YN360s. So they're poles. They're RGB poles.
They're awesome.
They've got the battery built in.
They're really good.
These, though, are essentially a brighter and more... You know, there's more LEDs in these. So they're brighter version of those that are a panel that doesn't have a battery built in. I got those because sometimes I film B-roll with the lights much brighter than they are now. And with that, you can barely see these RGB lights.
Yeah.
So I got the brighter ones just so that when I'm filming with the main lights at 100%, that you'll be able to see the RGB effect through there as well. So,
well, more lights. What's that? Patreon funded lighting.
Patreon funded lighting.
Very nice.
And these are all the accessories. You got the
they're the power packs.
They're the
for those
actual power
lights.
packs for the lights, and yeah, they all support battery and power pack. And those LED lights, these pole ones, I have not had to charge that for like a month.
It's because they're not too stupidly bright.
Yeah.
But they are very good. They're amazingly good
Nice
for
and
B-roll.
portable and
very flexible. So if you haven't got any of them, Jared, get some because they're good.
Yep.
You guys have to spend more time in makeup with that much extra light. That is true. That is true, ZZR Hardy. Sal Kagan asked how old I am. We've already covered that, so we don't need to bring that one up again. What else we got to talk about?
So I think that's all the unboxing, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got a massive amount of really cool stuff to unbox at my place, so I'll have to fit an unboxing boxes in at some point. Some really cool stuff that I do need to get to. I also got my first 4K HDR monitor arrive in a massive box, so I'm keen as to see what the RTX 2080 Ti can do with that. Tim reckons it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty good. Like, as expensive as the monitor and the 2080 Ti are, it's in Australia, it's over $6,000 to buy the monitor and the graphics card.
Wow.
It's absolutely crazy.
And you'd really be tempted to buy a second one. We're actually talking about everyone's going
maybe
berserk.
5,500. Yeah, 5,500 is about right. The monitor's 3,500 and the 2080 Ti is about 2,000.
Yeah, I think Nick was saying the Asus one's like 2.5 or something crazy like that. HDR is not worth it on PC yet, in my opinion. Would you say that?
Well, it's good. Like, HDR done well it's basically like a free graphics improvement because you're getting the better lighting, better contrast, you know, that sort of stuff. But the issue is that it's too expensive to get into it. So, like, it's not that it's bad. It's just that it's really expensive to get a good HDR monitor. And you need a good HDR monitor to get good HDR. So once HDR monitors are really cheap, it would be great because, as I said, you turn on HDR, the games look better, and there's no performance hit on current generation cards. But yeah, just no one wants to spend $2,000 on a monitor when you can get a really good mid-range, not necessarily mid-range, even a high-end like 1440p, 165 hertz, 27-inch monitor. Those are like $500, and they're great for gaming. Yeah,
it's a if you've got money to burn situation.
Yeah, definitely if you have money to burn at the moment.
Valentini says, what happened to the 280X case and the Noctua fans? The Noctua fans, I've still got I've got a massive box full of them. I want to test them. It's just finding time. They're pretty low on my priority list. I've got a cooler comparison going up on the channel tonight. I'm comparing the Phryzen and the Wraith Ripper. So that's going up. And then I would like to add a Noctua TR4 cooler to that comparison. As for the Corsair case, again, I didn't really have any micro ATX builds that I could do. Tim could possibly do it with that board. Have you got a case for this build you're doing?
Of course, they're sending me something.
Probably a 280X.
I'm not sure it's one of those. I think it was something else.
Okay, well, the 280X is a pretty cool case. I don't love it, the look of it, but I quite like the look of the black one that I think I've got. I can't remember the color, it was that long ago. But anyway, if I get with the Z390 stuff, if I get a Micro ATX Z390 board, then I might do a build. But until I get a reason to do something with it, I'm not really going to just review it. We don't really do case reviews.
Yeah, just use it for builds.
Just use them for builds if it makes sense. Yeah. I was going to, when we got into the HDR stuff, I was going to talk about NVLink because we've had so many requests to test NVLink like it's something different. It's just obviously SLI. Tim and I were talking about that before.
It's SLI with, just in case there was any bandwidth limitations, there's no more bandwidth limitations. That's it.
And
it doesn't fix the issues with SLI, which are numerous.
That's right. SLI still sucks, and it's an HDR will eventually be widespread and good. SLI won't be. So SLI sucks now, and it'll continue to suck. It may suck more in the future. It's hard to say, but unless you've got money to burn, there's no point. It doesn't make sense.
No, barely any games support it well. Like
Sorry
there's
about jug here.
Yeah, barely any.
Yeah.
So and I think as well, like what once was maybe like, you know, you're trying to push up to a higher resolution. There's no real single card that can do, you know, those super high resolution. So you might have considered putting 2 cards in. Now it's just get the best top end card. Like a 2080 Ti is perfectly fine for 4K gaming.
Back when you were a young lad, and SLI and Crossfire, I almost forgot what it was called. When that was all the rage, it was because you could buy 2 mid-range cards, and it would genuinely lead to a better experience than one single high-end. For the most part, there was the frame stuttering issues and whatnot back then, but when it was implemented well, I think it was like the Radeon 4770s, I believe, were pretty hot. Putting 2 of them together worked really well. We're going back a fair way now. Got some packing.
It's more that insane PNY packing.
But yeah, basically back when you had the opportunity to buy 2 mid-range cards for less than what it costs to get a high-end, it was kind of cool. It was kind of a cool way of getting... And so, yeah, I think you could spend less than a high-end card and get a little bit more performance than a high-end card. And it was supported in a lot of the new titles. But that's no longer the case. And they're limiting SLI and what that technologies, SLI and Crossfire, to the high-end cards, or at least they are with SLI. Because I don't think the 2070 doesn't have SLI NVLink, does it?
No.
So
it's a 2080 only, I think.
So anyway.
It's just a situation where there's not enough games that support it. So like, maybe back in the day you could buy the 2 mid-range cards, and because it works in so many games, it is a genuine competitor. But you know, these days, even if you could put 2 1060s together, like you're not going to get good performance, because like so many games don't support SLI, so you're only going to get single card performance. And then in a lot of games that do, the scaling is not great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just not a good technology anymore.
No, it hasn't been for a long time. People still like to talk about it and still want to see results, but...
And there's a lot of pre-builts that are still sold with like dual GPUs in them.
Mine's charge more for them.
Yeah, I know.
So
for the suckers.
So yeah, that one's been heavily requested, but we're not really in a hurry to do it. At some point I might, but it's pretty low on the priority list. We typically do, well, I think we do consumer advice type content. So we don't do really like, because I don't know, I'm just not excited to pull this apart and try and liquid cool it. Or EK is sending me an RTX 2080 Ti block, and I'll stick that on the Founders Edition card we've got and just go, hey, it doesn't really work any better, it's just cooler. So that'll be interesting. It's not really great consumer advice though. Like, not going to suggest you even overclocking these is kind of pointless. We did the guides because people are going to want to know how to do it, or I suppose they want to know if it's worth doing, and you provided all the different results. But it's not something we're going to focus on, is overclocking for these. Yeah, it's just not worth doing. But anyway, I think we're getting pretty close to the end of this one.
Yeah, you're probably itching for some Nando's.
I'm pretty hungry, and I've got, it's killing me at the moment. You know, I lost my voice for quite a few videos, or was losing it. I still haven't recovered. I went to the doctors and they reckon I've got laryngitis. And it's like, well, when do I get over that? And the cure for that is not to talk. So I'm doing a pretty bad job of that. But anyway, if I don't get better by, well, notice it'll be better by Friday afternoon. I'll be heading back first thing on Monday to see if there's anything that we can do about it. Because my throat right now is really dry and quite sore. And we're going to do 2 more live streams. I'll just build the desk and you can do all the talking.
So we're going to go ahead with the desk building live stream. Oh, we're building it in here?
Well, we'll either do a behind the scenes episode.
Yeah.
I thought what we do is cut all the timber to size outside and then we'll just live stream us piecing it together like an IKEA thing.
Yep, sounds good.
That's because you can't, if you saw stuff in here, you'll be vacuuming for the next year.
Yep.
So, quick question. Do most people have their PCs on the desk or under? RGB leaves me scratching my head.
I've
Personal
always
choice.
put it under.
I've always put it wherever it made sense. Mine's wall mounted at the moment. I've got the Core P3 and it's wall mounted. I think I put a photo in the fun section or something when they were talking about 650 watt power supplies the other day. Yeah, if you've got a massive desk and you've got room to put it on the desk, then on the desk is fine. But if you're tight on space, generally under the desk makes the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, I put as you've seen, my test system is on the desk because it makes a lot more sense to have it on there.
Yep.
But
Well, I've got my 3 monitors. So I've got my primary editing workstation monitor. Then I've got a 4K monitor there and a 4K monitor there. Usually an AMD test system, Intel test system, and they're both on the desk. And then I have cables that go in the wall all the way down about 4 meters away to my wall-mounted Core P3. So that's my setup. But yeah, on the desk, only Caveman puts it under the desk. That was from Nick.
No, I'm definitely under the desk person.
I
don't need to see. When I build my PC, I know what's in there. I don't need to see it every day. That's fine. Just leave it under the desk.
Under the desk, it definitely collects a lot more dust. And it depends how often you need to get to the back of it to do things, or how often you access the front I/O. If it's like right there and the front I/O is there.
Yeah, my front I/O is bang.
Yeah, and I mean, you can put a USB hub on your desk as well. It's personal preference, so whatever. Actually, Sal just reminded me. Hang on a second. Keep talking about Nando's, guys. I'm starving. But hang on a second.
Yep.
I gotta find something in my bag.
What are you going to have at Nando? What's your usual Nando's meal?
It depends if I'm in work. When I work outside and I've been, like when I was doing that deck project, I get like a whole chicken cut up.
So you can do the whole chicken. You can eat the whole one.
Oh, I got 2.
2 whole chickens.
Yeah, no worries.
Easy.
Chicken, I don't find that filling.
Yeah, I think it depends how it's done. I definitely couldn't eat a whole chicken. But like, I could eat more Nando's than I could KFC, for example.
You can't eat a whole chicken wing.
Oh, come on.
Here we go, guys. I got it. I won't wear this to Nando's, though. That would be very embarrassing.
You have to. Come on.
I'll just walk in there like I work there. I didn't take my t-shirt underneath off. But yeah, I bought this off eBay, so...
Yeah, you're a shill now. Nando shill.
Nando shill.
You'll have none of this KFC or a Red Rooster or Porto or any of that.
How funny would it be if I walked into Nando's with this and I'm like... Pretty embarrassing.
You reckon you could get away with being like a Nando, like a high up, and just be like, yeah, I'm made to wear this.
I'm coming to audit the store. I would like a classic wrap meal, please. Yeah, it's a little bit tight, but
yeah,
I've got a large. But I've got my t-shirt underneath, which doesn't help.
Yeah, a Porto is crap.
What is a Porto?
It's like you live out in the sticks, so you don't know anything about these places.
I know Nando's.
It's like a cheaper, shittier Nando's.
Okay.
Just go to Nando's. If you go to a Porto, just go to Nando's. There's also Schnitz, which I think is also worse than Nando's. Nando's is a chicken joint, in case it's in Australia and like parts of the UK, I think.
Yeah.
Not really a US thing.
I usually eat steak. Steak is my meat of choice.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like chicken normally, but Nando's is just so damn good.
It's Afro-Portuguese. So it's like African style Portuguese.
I don't
sort of
ask
stuff.
questions.
Yeah.
I just eat it. It's so good.
Peri peri.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I like it. So
I don't think it's you think it's the best thing ever. It's like the hottest
Well-
shit, right? You always
like
want
if you go to a
Nando's.
nice restaurant, that's obviously better.
Yeah.
But I can't stand KFC, Burger King, McDonald's, all that stuff. All the fast food, you know, I mean, that's really fast food. But I can't stand any of that stuff. I'll never eat it. But what's better? What's a fast food outlet that's as good as Nando's?
Well, the thing is though, it is twice as expensive as like a McDonald's meal. So I think it's like in a different class to your sort of McDonald's, and because like you go to McDonald's, you spend $10, you get a meal. You go to same as Burger King or Hungry Jack's or KFC, right? Nando's, you really have to spend more like your $15, $20 for your meal.
Yeah, but it's more than twice as good.
It is more than twice as good, Grant.
If we did a cost per
goodness,
goodness,
it's quite up there.
it's well up there.
I think Subway's pretty good. But like, it's not Nando's good.
Yeah,
in the $10 tier. You
Yeah,
get better from
Subway's better than all the other things for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Subway's fine.
Like we have Grilled here, which is like a burger chain that's better. It's also more expensive than McDonald's, but it's also, I think, a lot better. So I'd have that there, similar to Nando's. I don't think Schnitzer's is good or Porto.
No. Slightly more on topic, John Smith says, another question to keep you starving. Cheers. What mic are you guys using? We're using the Rode NT1A.
Yeah, so in my behind the scenes video set tour that I did, either part 1 or part 2, I look at I show you guys the lights, the mic, the set stuff. I haven't shown the camera. I'm going to do a separate video going through the camera gear.
Yep.
But if you are interested, behind the scenes video shows that. And both Steve and I use the same lights and mic.
Yeah, we've sort of worked out what is cost effective and works well. So
Worked out the good stuff.
the mic's awesome. You can get that in a kit for about 150 Australian. It's pretty good. It's an amazing quality mic. And then we've got it straight into the Zoom
H4n Pro.
H4n Pro. It's actually on it down the bottom. That'll be massively out of focus.
Yeah. But you can sort of see what it's like.
But what are they worth? About $200?
Yep. 2 XLR inputs, 3.5 million.
Yeah, it's less than 400
Really-
Australian dollars, and it's
Really low noise floor. Which
Really
is
good.
Much better than the camera input.
Yep.
So,
so anyway.
yeah, it works really well. It's actually it's just up here, so it's arm's reach away from us. But the good thing about this mic is that because a lot of people use shotgun mics.
I was using a shotgun mic originally, and I tried a
Yeah.
few different ones. And
The expensive ones are really good, like the top end Sennheiser and Rode ones are quite good, similar quality to this. But the thing is, like, if we have both of us sitting here, we would then need 2 shotgun mics, whereas this allows us to use 1. And yeah, there's a lot of sound dampening stuff. It's still a bit echoey in here, but with a couple of tweaks in Premiere, even though it's quite far away, it still sounds pretty good.
yeah, well, my one in my studio is further away than that, but my room's set up better. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I've also experimented with lapel mics. A lot of people use them. I don't like the visual of having the lapel mic on you.
Yeah.
So I don't like...
Especially when you taped it underneath.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, that's why I was taping underneath, because it looks better than having it...
Yeah, because it triggered everyone, because
Yeah.
they thought your t-shirt was on inside out.
Depending on how you do it.
Tim went, for a bit of context, Tim went to an AMD launch event for, was it? Gee, what was it? Was it Threadripper? Was it the first
Yeah.
gen Threadripper? I can't remember. Anyway, Tim went to some launch event for AMD over a year ago now, or about
Yeah.
a year ago, and he went by himself, and yeah, he got a bit of tape, and he taped his lapel mic here underneath,
Yeah.
and you could see the square bit of tape, and every comment was like, "Oh my god, you've got your shirt on inside it, or back the front, or whatever."
Yeah, coughed it a bit on that one.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. But...
So that was quite
Yeah.
funny. It was just his lapel mic taped on the inside.
And the lapel mic under the shirt doesn't sound anywhere near as good as this anyway, so...
No. So, and yeah, this you don't have to worry about knocking it. I don't know how loud that was.
That's probably massively loud. All the headphone users are massively triggered now.
I tapped it very gently.
Uh,
But anyway, I think
It's
that,
Nando's time.
that pretty much wraps up. I'm going to wear my Nando's shirt loud and proud into Nando's.
Are you actually
again.
going to wear it?
No.
Oh, come on.
Be very embarrassing.
All right, that's it for this stream. We'll see you guys. For the desk building, there might be a stream, might be behind the scenes. Who knows?
We'll see how we go.
Depends how quickly we want to do it.
Yeah, we'll post it in Discord. It's only going to take me 20 minutes to put it together.
And then later today at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, might be a bit earlier. Last time we did it like 15, 20 minutes earlier than that. There'll be the second stream for people, the more Australian viewers who can actually watch something that's not during the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Less good for other people. So yeah, we'll catch you in that one.
See you later.
See you later.